Hey, all, Dr. Adam here with the last video in our video series of mitochondria. So if you're just joining now, go and watch the intro videos and videos before. This video really is about creatine and how to optimize that for mitochondrial production. Now, I'm going to start off with creatine. Kind of has a stigma carried around it. I know that maybe when I was in high school, my parents would have thought that this is like a steroid or something that's like an aggressive thing to take for like working out, or it gets put as like a bro science in that category. But creatine is normally found in food. Meat specifically are the best sources, red meat. Um, and creatine basically takes water and puts it into your muscle cells. Now, that's the main thing that's talked about with creatine. But also, if you look, creatine is involved in really almost every cell in your body. And there was a recent study that came out in 2025 where they actually looked at creatine supplementation for improving cognition. And this study was actually focused on Alzheimer's and dementia patients who had varying degrees of how they're affected by those diseases, but were given actually really high doses of creatine. And they actually showed improvements in cognition. There have been also other studies done on sleep deprived individuals who reportedly make less mistakes when like doing tests the day before or after somebody's sleep deprived. So a lot of these studies have been done with the military, and creatine is actually the supplement that has been studied the most out of any other supplements. It's actually very inexpensive. You do have to watch where you get the sources from. Like, I'm pretty hesitant to buy it from China or overseas or a company I'm not familiar with. Still sticking with any supplement being whole food source and third party tested, like that quality matters. I get the creatine that I use through a company called Thorne, Thorne, Thorne. They have a lot of really good stuff. But let's go into, well, how much should I take? How many, what's needed, and how can this even help with mitochondria and improving cognition? So if you think of mitochondria as the powerhouse of the cells, I want you to think of creatine as the power grid. So it's like a grid, connecting those energy sources, because the mitochondria are very small and at the cellular level, and this has to be transferred through other processes throughout the body. So it is estimated that if you don't think you need to supplement with creatine, you need to be eating 1 to 2 pounds of meat per day. Okay, if you're on more like the 1 pound, then that would be like red meat, which does include salmon, and closer to rare. So like red meat, salmon are really high sources and closer to rare, because the more you cook something, it does denature some of the proteins and some of the things in meat. So white meat, white fish, close to well done, then you'll probably be closer to 2 pounds per day. So a lot of people, or let's say men who are like, oh yeah, I can eat 1 to 2 pounds of meat per day, easy, then maybe you don't need to supplement with this. Now, there are a lot more studies coming out as well that showing that it's maybe more important for females to supplement. But let's unpack this a little bit. So for a male that's lifting a lot of weights and maybe not getting enough like red meat throughout the diet, but hitting their protein marks, 5 grams is a pretty safe bet to do. In the studies where they talk about improving cognition, the participants were given between somewhere 10,000 grams a day up to 20,000 grams a day. Now, when we're talking about higher doses as well, you do need to think about, if this is something that you've taken before, you can probably get to a higher dose quicker. Or if you have a larger body weight or body mass, you can probably get to a higher dose quicker. Some people are going to be more sensitive to this. If you have your GI system completely flushing out, probably too much creatine, right? So that's an easy one to say at the upper end. Now, with this, the higher doses are improving cognition. Your muscles are greedy. So think of your muscles being very greedy with creatine. So it's going to absorb all the creatine that you take in. And if we're talking about improvements in brain, or improvements in the creatine monohydrate system within your brain, you do need to oversaturate what's going to your muscles, so there's some left over for the brain itself. Dr. Rhonda Patrick has a really good podcast on this, Found My Fitness. There's a lot of sources. Again, creatine is the most highly studied and fairly inexpensive because it's been around for a very long time. But you do want to make sure there's also different types. That creatine monohydrate is really what I'm talking about with this. Again, backing up to whole food source, third-party tested. You cannot out supplement a good diet, so it's probably better to get this from diet supplements or diet rather than supplements. But I thought this was very interesting as far as how creatine is utilized within your body, how it can have an impact on bringing water to the muscles, which is important for not having as many cramps, or just really optimizing strength and performance. And then also, if I had a family member that started showing signs of dementia, I'm probably starting here, and see if that can just increase ATP production within the brain and help them to stay happy, healthy, and strong.